Okay, guys. So I want you guys to know I'm not making any sort of negotiations with any federal agent or state agent or associate or any of that. I keep saying that they can't find my additional contracts or the supplements to my contract, so they just believe that there's implied telepathic or or implicit, sort of a negotiation toward terms. None of that is going on. The contractual documents that I do have, which are hidden from publication, they're not per any sort of association with the generality of the federal government of the United States or even the generality of the Central Intelligence Agency. You know what I've contracted with the executives and the managers, the traditional managers of the Central Intelligence Agency and Interpol, and our partnerships and consequently the entirety of the federal government of the United States and its partnerships in overarching all of that are not necessarily, part of any sort of negotiated compromise with addition with other federal agents or even ordinary folk civil society representatives of this. There's no alternate, candidate for my job or any future job that I have presented as already contracted for or negotiated. There's no alternate path. There's no professional or astute or competent individual here in the United States of America, especially within our government, who cannot understand what I am expressing. There's just no way. Okay, so this is what I want you guys to understand. I am who I say I am, as I have expressed consistently. I am Shawn Dexter John. Okay, my alias is Khalid Sundiata Hassan. Okay, that's my current identity, my original identity in this particular lifetime. I say life tenure because I explained that I'm going to get a new corporate identity and everything that comes with that. As I have explained, top secret, revealed, declassified temporarily under emergency order. Okay, Jesus Christ. That's the honest to God truth. I'm not going to have to express this over and over and over again. But yeah. But anyway, I'm going to publish this later on YouTube, and eventually I'm going to get to the point upon the transfer. No, I'm not even going to say transfer. Upon the transformation of my identity, and certainly I'm not going to transfer any identity to any other individual, and no one is getting me to the point of getting, and no one is getting me to the point of transferring my identity or counts to anyone else. I want you guys to know that no one is getting me to the point of transferring any identity of mine to any other person. That's never going to happen. That should be understood right now. You guys are going to humble yourselves and accept this right now. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to be of. I'm certainly going to look half white. No, I'm going to look half black and a quarter white and a quarter Native American. I'm certainly going to be taller than I was in high school and college, university, Howard University when I first got there. Certainly, as I've explained. Okay, so my altered look is going to be quite. It's not going to be shocking at all, but it's going to be as expected based on the publications I've presented online. Okay, so I want you guys to understand this. And yes, I do have over 300 published work reports, work papers, and documentations on script.com and in general. Shawn Dexter John .wordpress.com. It presents over 260, 70 or so, actually 280 or so publications, work papers and work reports, for the most part, and my legal article, The New Society's Concepts and Apperceptions of an Eastern Caribbean Model of Commonality, originally published in January of 2022. It was finished and published in January 2022. And it took only 5 months to actually author, you know? And it's based on the original book sketch published with iUniverse in 2012, The New Society's Concepts and Apperception of an Eastern Caribbean Model of Commonality, essentially of the same namesake. Okay? So I authored all of it and by myself and without specific instructions. I was given the general instruction: Shawn Dexter John, you know who you are. You're the only person capable of being able to do what you're going to do. We've trained you well to realize this and to nurture your skills. You're a natural born genius and you're a trained genius toward perfection, that's what I am. I am a natural born genius and trained toward perfection in doing my job in running the United States government and its partnerships via the Central Intelligence Agency and Interpol as protectors of my contracts, my stature, positions, and privileges in doing the right thing on behalf of humanity and the global society, specifically as an American of foreign birth, but clearly an American in perspective, a nurture, and outlook. Okay, so yes. So in a few weeks or so, I'm going to get a change of identity. It's going to be corporate identity. It's going to be the corporate identity version of of myself. Right now, I've been doing field work over the past 12 years. I haven't had to wear my corporate suit often. I actually had to give it away to my brother, have him stored at his place, at his apartment, all of that. But I've done field work undercover without having to change my identity for the most part. But I've been moving around from neighborhood to neighborhood, state to state, city to city, and this and that. So consistently, it did not matter, and I was never oppressive. I was never placing anyone at risk of danger or harm. So therefore, it was not that much of a risk at the particular time, and I was on. I was certainly below the radar, not in any sort of unlawful or illicit manner, but I was certainly below the radar in running the Central Intelligence Agency and Interpol and creating the integrationist audit program for the Central Intelligence Agency and Interpol in supervising Homeland Security, NSA, and every other agency and department of the United States government and the global society itself under the jurisdiction of the United Nations. Okay, guys. So, yeah, and the EU. Okay, so I want you guys to understand this. Okay, I'm going to be the first president of the world. I'm going to be the first world president. I'll be known as the president and commissioner of the United Nations World Government. And when we say United Nations World Government, we are referring to the institution itself, which is going to be created in 2044. And I'm going to be elected by the General Assembly of the United Nations, also known, I'm pretty sure it will be known colloquially as World Congress or the World Congress. None of these are the ideas of anyone else, and no arrogance or level of arrogance is going to transfer that to anyone else. No loss by anyone associated with me in contrasting or in associating with me amicably is going to result in any transfer of funds, transfer of finances, transfer of work, transfer of intellectual property, transfer of any sort of property or such. I want you guys to accept that, please. I've gone through too much pain over the past 35 years to have to hear you guys argue otherwise. Too much pain, excruciating pain at times and consistently over the past 15 years in having to deal with the rigors of contestation and hate and fraudulent activity within government in addressing the reality of the future or a better prospect for the world. So I want you guys to understand this. I'm going to move to Coral Gables in a few weeks. My house is already purchased by the Central Intelligence Agency. I have it documented online. I have it documented with my family members and everything, and within the agency, undisclosed offices. We cannot disclose those offices yet for security reasons. That's honestly the truth, I promise you. And so I'm going to move to, it's a four-bedroom house for the most part, and it's near the University of Miami. It's an upper middle class house, a family house. I'm the only person who's going to live there other than my wife, and I'm pretty sure my daughter, Keisha Williams. I'm pretty sure she's going to be there with us. She might be able to stay with her aunt, Shahida Williams, consistently, who's going to be there in South Florida also. My agency is purchasing her house also. So that's going to be the situation. I'm moving to South Florida, and and yes, I'm going to receive my two cars, and I'm going to have complete access to my trust fund and account and estate accounts, and it's going to be in a consolidated account. I'm pretty sure of it by that point. But yeah. So and my little sister Tessan John, the daughter of Clay John, meaning Crispin Clay John and Test Man John. I'm pretty sure she's going to end up dating Arian Knighton, the USA track athletes, the sprinter, and I'm pretty sure that he's actually going to break the 200 world record, but no one is going to break the 100 world record established by Usain Bolt over the next 20, 30, 40 years. I'm pretty sure of it. Okay, so his family has worked with the Central Intelligence Agency and he's finding out now. He's been in a special training program, and he eventually is going to be accelerated to the point of him actually breaking uh, the 200 world record, and winning at least one or two or three gold medals. And we're going to have a lot of American athletes who are going to do consistently excellent representation. Is going to conduct excellent representation for the United States. For the United States, as employees of the United States government. So I'm pretty sure that Tessan and Ariane, they're going to meet together, they're going to start dating, and eventually they're going to get married. It's their decision, but I'm pretty sure they're going to say yes to that and having children and this and that. And yes, he is Caribbean American. And whether he was born in the Caribbean or here on mainland United States, it's top secret at this particular point. It does not matter. We are transforming the idea of nationality. Uh, that's what the world is doing all over. Uh, we don't want anyone who was born on the mainland of any country or within the particular core of any country to have superior privileges and freedoms and protections over anyone else in that particular country. That's reality. That's the reality of what good is. That's the reality of what progress is. That's not just the reality of a foreign born American citizen, meaning myself. That's the reality of what good is. When assessed by science, when assessed by ethics, when assessed by assessment and and counsel, that's the conclusion. I said, that does not make sense to Americans. That does not make sense to Jamaicans either. I tested Jamaicans. They don't want to believe that American born Jamaicans should be able to start on their teams. But I've forced that issue on them. Okay. And you guys have noticed it. I'm pretty sure if it is top secret, but that has now been declared. It's not a scam. It's not a scheme. You guys are going to have to accept that. Okay. So Arian was born overseas. So the fuck what? Some of the Jamaican sprinters who helped Usain Bolt were born here in America of Jamaican parents. So the fuck what? Okay, so that's how the world is gonna evolve. Okay, it said it's top secret. It's actually top secret. Ariane might claim that he was born overseas or here in the mainland based on security details, which are going to be presented to him. Okay, guys. So yes, but anyway, that might have been a bit off topic, but that's part of the overall project. Yeah, the Tesson is my baby sister, and she's not a baby anymore. She's actually in her mid 20s. She's about she was born in 99. I'm pretty sure she was born in 99 or 2000. She's in her mid 20s at this point, right? Yeah, she's in the mid 20s. Yeah, so yeah, but anyway. I think Ariel might be a few years younger, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to be some sort of hurdle. I haven't met the man in the young man in person, but family members and so forth. My dad said, and it should be able to work out. All right, so I'm pretty sure that Arion, the Central Intelligence Agency, and INTERPOL have found a family house for them in South Florida. If they are to get married, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. Uh, a sound house for them, a 3-4 bedroom house, not in Coral Gables, but certainly in Miami, and it's going to represent the United States commitment to doing the right thing for each and every one of its athletes. Each and every one of its athletes, born abroad or born here on the mainland, is supposed to be paid the same amount of money as employees of the United States government. That's a fact. And so, well, if you do win additional titles or races and this, you might be able to get additional compensation here and there, but it should not be oppressive and it should not be in any sort of offensive manner. So we get into that point, and that's not communism. That's not totalitarianism. That's democracy under protections, and the equality of rights uh, principle. Okay, so so yeah, so the work paper I'm going to have authored today. The work paper I'm honestly going to have authored today is going to be on the General Assembly, the OAS General Assembly, the General Assembly of the Organization of American States, within 2 years per the free trade and economic area of the Americas apparatus, or the free trade and an economic agreement of the Americas provisions within it will be established. So essentially, what's going to happen is that the OAS General Assembly is going to transform within the next year and a half to 2 years, whenever the EAA is passed, meaning the Free Trade and Economic Agreement of the Americas, which also refers to the Free Trade and Economic Area of the Americas for the time being. So the agreement itself, to make sure, hold on. To make sure that there's some sort of differentiation, we may call the Free Trade and Economic Agreement of the Americas the FTEAA, all right? And we will call the Free Trade and Economic Area of the Americas the EAA. Okay, so that's going to be the differentiation. I'm pretty sure it should be able to transition within government vernacular and colloquialism a bit well, and officiality. So it's going to connect with the American government and the American people and the rest of the hemisphere. Okay, so yeah, and also that work paper is going to address also that the Caribbean community has now formed a political alliance documented by the Department of State, the U.S. Department of State, and the United States Central Intelligence Agency, or the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States, the CIA. And so the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, isn't purchased by the federal government of the United States, but it's backed and it's endorsed, and its infrastructure is supported by assistance and financing and investments uh, of the United States government by the Central Intelligence Agency specifically, conduct sanctioned and endorsed by me and representatives of me per my discretion, and in general, those within the elected offices of the United States government who are relevant to that particular issue. Okay, guys, so I'm going to transform the Caribbean community into having a Caribbean government. It's literally going to be known as the Caribbean government. It's not just going to be a secretariat of the Caribbean community anymore. We're going to have standing alone or aside some sort of soft councils and and uh, and uh, and institutions and this and that. We're going to have a bona fide Caribbean government as the governing entity of uh, of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, and we're going to have. I'm pretty sure we're going to have some sort of general council or regional parliament. Uh, within that Caribbean government, uh, we're going to maintain a secretary general of the Caribbean community, and there's not going to be any president of the Caribbean community. There's not going to be any commissioner of the Caribbean community. We're just going to have to let that go. Everyone is just going to have to let that go. It's going to be maintained the Secretary General of the Caribbean community. And speaking of the chief executive of the Caribbean community and its future Caribbean government, and that Secretary General office will be evolved, well enough to be able to serve competently in leading uh, executively the Caribbean government, the Caribbean community in general. Okay, so it's not going to infringe upon the the sovereignty and independence or autonomy of any one of the uh, member states or member territories, respectively. So, we're going to maintain the title Secretary General of the Caribbean Community, and yes, there's also going to be judiciary of the Caribbean community, and it's still there. The Caribbean Court of Justice is going to be maintained. It's going to evolve to be a bit more standardized as mandate within every member state of the Caribbean community without any sort of contestation or any sort of challenge or consistent challenge or obstructive challenge. So it's going to remain located. The Caribbean Court of Justice is going to remain located in Trinidad and Tobago. The Secretariat of the Caribbean community uh, is going to evolve into, it's going to remain in Guyana and in Georgetown, Guyana, and and I did speak well, and the General Council itself of the General Parliament or the Parliament of the Caribbean, and that's going to be installed within the next decade or so, along as part of as the third branch of the Caribbean government, the regional government, the Caribbean regional government, or the regional government, or the Caribbean government. We're going to have regional in there. It's going to be Caribbean regional government or regional government. The third branch is certainly going to be the regional parliament, and uh, and it's going to be located in Kingston, Jamaica. We're going to have it. We're going to have the building, the structure, the hosting structure built, the permanent structure built in Kingston, Jamaica, and these are not going to be traveling entities. These are not going to be traveling uh, host structures at all. Okay, Kingston, Jamaica. All right, that's where the regional parliament, the Parliament of the Caribbean, is going to be. It's going to be located. Okay, so what else am I going to have to speak on? So wait, hold on. And yeah, so certainly I'm a bona fide genius. I'm a trained genius, but I was a natural born genius from the very get go. I was quite brilliant, exceptionally brilliant when I first started out. Even though I went through a lot of this and that as in my middle young age. When I got to the point of 12 years old, when I got to the point of St. Joseph's Academy in Antigua and Barbuda, I was completely identifiable as a genius, an actual born genius. In all honesty, I literally memorized the whole content, not word by word, but the whole content of an encyclopedia volume. All right, I really did, and I literally memorized everything that was taught to me in school. I was number one in class, but I remember the negotiations between the CIA and the government of Antigua and Barbuda, and they said, well, he has to go to the United States of America right away. He has to go with his American family and his dad right away to Aruba first, and then to the United States, so no one will be able to track you guys. And they so you're gonna give him sixth place. Everyone is gonna find out that he's going to the United States. We don't want the children the co-students to actually envy him, the Antiguan locals and stuff, and I had to deal with that. I was clearly number one in class. I got all A's in every class, every course. So, but I was number one, but they gave me number six, and I was later told when we were covering up that the six independent member states of the OECS were gonna, try to help motivate me into focusing on the Eastern Caribbean as a model for integration without any sort of direct instruction being provided to me on that particular matter to be able to figure it out on my own, even though I was told to focus on OECS intellectually while studying at graduate school at Howard University. I did have an internship at the OECS building at the Embassy of the Commonwealth of Dominica. I did work with the Embassy of Antigua and Barbuda, and this and that. Okay, right after or before, I'm pretty sure it was, yeah, after I did an internship at AFL-CIO, the headquarters in Washington, D.C. I did an internship at the NAACP. I did an internship at so many other civil society organizations, and paid and unpaid. And I did an internship. I did canvassing internships with America Coming Together. It's a defunct organization uh, grassroots organization, and then I did an internship with that same organization, grassroots organization, at its corporate headquarters in Washington D.C. I was in sort of a sub analyst or entry analyst for that particular summer. So I've been within corporate and field grassroots work America ever since Howard University. Actually, ever since ever since Howard University, my earliest days at Howard University. Okay, so I did have assignments to go to Congress and actually audit some of the some of the discourses and the meetings at Congress, and I provided my assessments to the Central Intelligence Agency. I provided cover assessments to the NAACP. I was never serious about communicating anything a top secret or confidential to the NAACP as which was whenever it was unnecessary, So, but I did have I did find a way to communicate what I needed to communicate on a regular basis or a consistent basis to my trainers back then or my assessment managers back then of the Central Intelligence Agency. I'm pretty sure they were watching over the whole way through, not just for my correspondence, but in general. So that's not a lie at all, They said, well, has he ever worked within a government office per se, officially? No, I've never had to work within a government office per se in this particular life tenure. Other than the Commonwealth of Dominica embassy. When we're speaking of federal government, a government office, I've never had to. I was top secret. Interpol made sure that I remain the only qualifiable candidate to be the inaugural world president of the United Nations. They made sure of it. They said, well, if you work for the federal government, with only Americans around you all the time, since you're in America already, since you're an American citizen, since you reside in America, we're just gonna have you you have an internship at the Commonwealth of Dominica's embassy and keep working toward running the Central Intelligence Agency and Interpol as chief manager. You're going to get that contract. Keep working with us offsite, not at any particular government office, and and stay immersed in the American concept, the American idea, American dream. You in America, you're only going to be around Americans for the most part. All right, even though I did engage the immigrant community here in Florida in helping get folks green cards and U.S. citizenship, those folks who have been here for a while, or those folks who have peculiarly worked for the United States government, the federal government of the United States, and or subordinates, and uh, and it was all lawful per standard procedures, nothing illicit, nothing offensive to the Constitution of the United States or to the United Nations foundational documents, the chartering documents, and all. So, I'm the only qualifiable. No matter who you say I am, I have to be fair. I have to be fair in addressing humanity and respecting the law of man and respecting Satan's right to exist. I have to speak of Satan, but anyway, I have to respect Satan's right to exist. So there's obviously going to be contestation, but what has been presented to the world by my agents and by myself specifically have helped negotiate me being the guaranteed, sanctioned, and authorized. And when I say sanctioned in this particular uh, uh, sentence, I am referring to endorsed and authorized. I am the negotiated, sanctioned, and authorized first, been an inaugural world president of the United Nations, also known as the president and commissioner of the United Nations World Government. And this will be covered and reenacted. I mean, it'll occur. It will actually occur in 2044. I'll be elected by the General Assembly of the United Nations, also to be known as the World Government. I mean, the World Congress or World Congress. And it's certainly going to be by a distinct majority. And and yeah, it's not going to be offensive. We're going to remain under emergency order for almost half a century to make sure that the world government, when it's formed and proceeding then and succeeding then, is going to remain safe, competent, backed, unbreached, unthreatened, and communicated as perpetual, meaning existent in perpetuum, and lead governing entity over the whole planet in perpetuum. And that's how things are going to work. Okay, so it's going to be a 50-year, a half century emergency order, implied and expressed by the United Nations and the United States government and allies, yeah, so that's how we're going to get that done to maintain the negotiation as contractual under emergency order, though in respecting the democratic will of the member states of the United Nations. We have traversed all over the planet, my agents, millions of agents, sub agents, associates, this, and they've audited and they have briefed countries, all 193 member states of the United Nations under the impending matter, or the impending global war, what is to come afterward, the abolition of this and this of nuclear warfare, and the creation of three additional continental unions, the expansion of the European Union, the nominalization of the African Union to a greater extent, and stuff of that nature. And the reformation of the Security Council later on. And so there's a lot of stuff that has been discussed to all of the governments and all of the and all of civil society all over the world, and regular citizens on a regular basis. I'm telling you, so especially in Palestine and in Israel and in India, China, Australia, South Africa, Nigeria, Jamaica, Canada, United States, Mexico, Cuba, Colombia, Brazil, uh, France, Belgium, uh, Spain. We've been all over, but I've just communicated on central points, central member states of the United Nations, which have focused on making sure that the negotiation and the contracted emergency order for maintaining a United Nations world government, and presented me and making sure that I'm safe as the first world president elected by the General Assembly, the World Congress, uh, is prudent in communication, is making sure of that. Okay, hopefully I said that in the right way, but I'm pretty sure that was communicated well. Okay, so yeah, so I'm going to author the work paper. I'm going to publish this video recording. Hopefully that's going to be the last one, the only one for today. Today is March the 3rd. No, once again, I always keep saying March the 3rd. I don't know why I'm saying that, but it's March the 11th of 2024. It's March the 11th of 2024. And I'm Shawn Dexter John, born of the Commonwealth of Dominica, but a United States citizen and American citizen and national. And so my nationality and my citizenship is American and United States, USA, respectively. Uh, I'm not illegal in any sort of capacity or understanding. I've never been. I've never been illegal in any sort of way. I was born in the Commonwealth of Dominica in the Eastern Caribbean. My social security number is 237-99-6640. Once again, my social security number is 237-99-6640. I have to reveal that right now under emergency order because there's no sort of threat to. I have to I have to make sure that there's no sort of alternate use of my social security number, my United States identity, or my identity in general. So we're just making sure of that. I was instructed to reveal this particularity. So I was born on January 13, 1985. I graduated from Howard University, undergraduate and graduate school. I attended St. Thomas University School of Law, now called the College of Law, in Miami Gardens. I finished my Juris Doctorate within a federal government program, obviously. Clearly, I'm not just a legalist, but I am a licensed attorney, clear as day, just under sealment. But I'm going to be elected. I've already been negotiated and elected as the first president of Yale Law Journal. Any documentation providing that there's already a president of Yale Law Journal in the past or coming, that's just not true. I'm certainly going to be the first president of Yale Law Journal, and I'm going to reveal myself as with my new look as Khaled Sundiata Hassan, and I'm going to purport to be 28 or 29 years old. I'm still young looking. I'm actually 38, 39. Well, I'm 39 years old, but I like saying 38, 39 just for security purposes. I can say 39 now. But anyway, I'm gonna purport to be 28, 29 years old, and it's gonna be I'm gonna look 28, 29 years old. I'm pretty sure of it. Okay, my name will be Khaled Sundiata Hassan. Uh, you can generally say Khaled Hassan. That's not gonna be a problem at all, and that's gonna be my identity. My agency identity is gonna be presented to the world. My secondary identity will remain Shawn Dexter John within CIA and Interpol records and databases. So there's not going to be any transfer or discarding of that identity, obviously. And my trust fund and my estate accounts are going to be transferred to, once again, to an American government protected and Interpol protected uh, financial account or finance account or bank account per se, essentially a bank account. And it's going to reveal that I do actually have 10 million United States dollars in net worth, and it's based mostly on cash with our relevant and supplemental and complemental uh, assets and properties, uh, revealing that it's actually that the account, the consolidated account, exclusively owned and accessible by me only, meaning only, you know, as is operative. It's going to be operative. It's going to be active. It's not going to be subject to audit, or it's not going to be subject to external audit, and it's not going to be placed on hold, and it's not going to be it's not under any condition or penalty. We're just going to have to. I need folks to just let go of that. I've worked so hard ever since 12 years old, and knowingly for the Central Intelligence Agency. Trust me, I've worked very hard. It's not just about being a natural genius. It's about being perfected in my communication effort, in my delivery, in my articulation of what I know, and so forth. And in doing hard work to be able to document everything and to express it as needed to folks all over the Caribbean when I was a kid. Now, and when I moved to the United States, the federal government of the United States, and then Canada, and then the rest of the world, the United Nations, over the past decade or so. Okay, so that's what that's that So I've had to work hard. Okay, uh, what else was I going to say? Yes, so I'm going to be a United States senator. I'm going to be a United States senator. I'm going to be in Florida. I'm going to reside in Florida, but for security purposes, I'm going to purport myself to be a United States senator uh, from the state of California. I'll have a second home in California as needed by then, and I'll run for world president and purporting myself as being an adopted son of California, the state of California, as a United States senator. But I'm going to write a memoir over the next 4 or 5 years or so, possibly 4 or 5 years. But actually, I would say to a certainty, I'm going to write the memoir. But it's possible I might be able to write it in 4 years. I have so many different assignments, so many different tasks that I have to commit to. But I should be able to pull it off over the next 5, 6 years or so. Okay, so and I'll reveal that I was not born in Miami per se. I will I will communicate that I was born in the Caribbean, the Eastern Caribbean. Right now, everyone expects me to say Puerto Rico or the U.S. Virgin Islands, and that's it. Those are the only two options. Okay, but yeah, I will explain that I was not born in Florida or in Miami, but I was raised in in Miami. I became a man in Miami. That's what I'm gonna have to communicate. Okay, so I was born within the expanse of Florida, but I was raised within specifically the city of Miami, the county of Dade County, Miami-Dade County. All right. So I don't believe in any prophecies of any songs, but I'm telling you guys how the CIA works. Yes, DJ Khaled has been covering for me for a very long time. Even though I'm not supportive of criminality and gangster hip hop, he covered up the operation of me altering my identity from Shawn Dexter John primarily to Khaled Sundiata Hassan. Okay, that has always been the plan. He's known this plan for a while now, even though he was confused at times to whether or not there were two different individuals, Shawn John and Khaled Hassan. There must be two different individuals because we're getting confused at this particular point. He's clearly not a Muslim, so why would he alter his name to Khaled Hassan? And then it was revealed to them that Shawn Dexter John is Jesus Christ, but he is Allah also. He wrote the Quran. He actually created the universe. He's here to save the world government and to get us to the next paradigm, and eventually in 500 years to get Earth and its constellation into heaven. Okay, guys, so that's the reason why the whole world is going to be briefed, and it's going to be explained to them that Jesus Christ, Shawn Dexter John, aka Khaled Sandiata Hassan, is actually Allah, is Brahma, is Buddha, is Yahweh, is here to fix the world, and is here to make sure that everyone gets into heaven, that all moral debt is paid up, and everyone of all races, and speaking of Earth and its expanse, will be able to get into heaven in 500 years, guaranteed. Okay? So I'm not here to impose destruction to be able to have everyone pay up their moral debt, but we are here to bring an end to nuclear warfare and to create a world government at this particular moment within 20 years, as I've explained, actually in 2044, and to create the five continental union and to have them nominalized and and everything else I've expressed in publications. So I, I, I commend the Central Intelligence Agency as being discreet and having hidden me for as long as possible. Uh, my agents, my 5,000 agents who are going to enter the state of Florida, uh, permanently, are not embarrassed anymore. They're pretty impressed. They say, wow, he's not only a genius, he's a trained genius, and he has really shocked us. I guess Father in heaven, Jehovah the Father, has really tricked us. You know, they're my royal brothers, and they just being reminded that they are, that I grew up with them in the higher universe, and that we are comatose into this world, dreaming into this world. All right, so I allowed them to lead the country for the most part while I was training and doing the work the day by day or the day to day, micro policy and implementation of law and policy throughout all 50 states. I had no other choice. Okay, they had all the power in the world while I was doing the field work, and I never complained. Uh, I refrained from I have one biological daughter at this particular point, and I've refrained from having sexual intercourse or sex in general, sexual intercourse uh, over the past 12 years. All I did was work this and this and that. And they're going to be very protective of me, and they're going to make sure that I'm very happy in committing to my work, in committing to the program and project, and in committing to humanity without offense. Okay? So, I don't know why. This is going to have to show up well. Okay? All right, guys. So, as you guys can see, I'm the same person. Certainly the same person. I was publishing all of these online. My work, my literary work, and audit and work reports, and these YouTube video recording audit reports, audit and communication reports, declassified with this declassification procedure uh, based online. Okay, so I'm not lying at all. I'm not lying about anything. Every time I say online, I have to say I'm not lying at all because folks actually misinterpret that sometimes. Folks in the Central Intelligence Agency. But anyway, so I'm the same person. Okay, there's no other Shawn Dexter John. Actually, there's no other Shawn John in reality. There are a few NSA agents who provided that there are other Shawn Johns and other Shawn Johns in this country or elsewhere, just trying to get in the way. But we have made sure that the whole United Nations, they know for a fact that there's only one Shawn John, and certainly only one Shawn Dexter John. Certainly only one Shawn Dexter John. Me, myself. Okay, so and certainly there's no other Khaled Hassan alias, and certainly there's no other Khaled Sandiata Hassan alias at all. Okay, so and yes, yeah. Okay, guys. So that should be able to work. And here, watching CBS. Last night, I did get to to see some of the Oscar segments. Not the commercials themselves, or infomercials themselves, but the segments of the Oscars. I did not get an opportunity yesterday. I mean, it's Sunday, the 10th of March, 2024, to watch the whole Oscars. But I did watch segments thereafter. I took a short nap, and I did start drafting what I'm going to write on today, and what I'm going to elaborate on it and publish in this particular video recording. It's only going to be one video recording today. If there's an additional one, then I'll just have to explain that there is. Okay, but yeah, that's my intent. And Oppenheimer wins big at the Oscars. The movie was made immediately. About 2 years ago, it was revealed to the Central Intelligence Agency and Interpol that New York, Lower Manhattan, and Central Moscow are going to be nuked by the United Nations Security Council, by higher authority, higher forces. And no one is going to die. It's going to be completely evacuated, as was done in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And Oppenheimer, he's actually my uncle from the high university, came down here when I was Du Bois to protect me. They were trying to kill me. And they knew that as W.E.B. Du Bois, I was Christ. They were trying to destroy my multicultural, multiracial project. The Japanese government, the Japanese military, they were trying to get in the way of my multiracial, multicultural project of Los Angeles. And they were going to destroy Los Angeles. They were going to bomb Los Angeles, and they were not going to stop at all. We communicated consistently with them, and they refused to stop, and they refused. Okay? So that's the only reason why we negotiated after the surrender. When we showed them our power, the power that we have, we showed them our alien civilization and stuff. They visited them in Japan, and they explained to them that you guys are going to have to pay up, and you guys are going to have to know that white supremacy is wrong. You guys signed an agreement with the Nazis, and you guys claim to be the white race of the Asian stock, and that the Nazis were rightful in that projection, and that whites are going to dominate uh, the planet for the rest of eternity, and that you guys ought to be demonstrative in communicating this. So when these higher civilizations showed up, folks from my original universe, my father's universe, they said yes to having Hiroshima and Nagasaki nuked. Uh, and actually, they surrendered about 2 3 days before they were actually nuked. Those towns, they were big towns. They weren't great cities. They were big towns, small cities, and they both were nuked. Everyone moved to Tokyo, and we created the metropolitan city of Tokyo, real capital of Japan as we know of it today. Everyone was actually moved to Tokyo and the suburbs. We created a real city out of Tokyo, for real, in all honesty, a real capital of Japan. So they focused on the military and not the modernization of the infrastructure, and certainly not a capital city. So we negotiated that, and so everyone is going to be evacuated out of Lower Manhattan over the next 3 to 4 weeks or so. And it's going to be planned perfectly. It's going to be nuked, and Lower Manhattan is going to be Dubai 2.0. Okay, as I am Shawn Dexter John, W.E.B. Du Bois 2.0. I'm the second, the 2.0 version of myself is Du Bois. I'm literally uh, twice as sped up, not in any sick or clinical ways, twice as fast or intellectually speedy as I was as Du Bois. And I'm pretty sure, uh, I'm pretty sure that some of the folks listening, yeah, what's his name? Some of the folks listening are pretty sure of this. Okay, so yeah, so Dubai 2.0 will be Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, Manhattan, New York. It's going to be quite impressive when we are done in resurrecting. Uh, New York is going to be shocking, the infrastructure and the pleasantries and the aesthetics and the minimalism and extra complex nature of the structures, the skyscrapers and everything else. The skyscrapers are going to be quite awesome. The the designs of the modern and minimalist buildings are going to be quite shocking to the senses. Impressive, completely impressive and exceptional. And New York is going to be declared the world capital of the United Nations, and then the world capital of the United Nations world government. And it's never going to be removed as that. Everyone will designate it as having earned it for the rest of eternity, and no one will be able to complain whatsoever. Okay, and central Moscow will be able to recover, and so forth. So those two cities are going to be nuked. The other three cities, which were part of the scam, to actually defraud the United Nations and dissolve it, and to create a multipolar world of military forces, military buildup, meaning Turkey, China, and North Korea. Uh, their capital cities, segments of the capital cities, specifically central Istanbul, central Beijing, and government sector Pyongyang. They're going to be destroyed by warheads, nuclear warheads, completely destroyed. But it's not going to be any H bombs being dropped or purported as dropped, as we are going to endure. Well, me from far away, everyone else from far away. Also, regarding Lower Manhattan and and central Moscow. Okay, so when I say nuke, you guys understand what I'm communicating, and when I say nuclear warhead, you guys know that there's a difference. Okay, colloquially speaking, what I'm communicating is clear as that. Okay, guys.